Good morning, I'm Pamela Jo Hatley. We'll bring the Land Use Hearing Officer meeting to order this morning, and if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, everyone. I'm Pamela Jo Hatley. I'm the hearing officer this morning, and this is the October 19th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. The first thing I'll do is introduce Mr. Tom Hisney of the Development Services Department. He will address any agenda changes. Mr. Hisney?
Hi, good morning, Ms. Hatley. To my left is Carmen Mason of Development Services technical staff. Also joining us today virtually is Cameron Clark. He's an assistant county attorney for Hillsborough County. We have the following withdrawals and continuances for today's meeting that I will read into the record. Item A1, special use 19-1174. The applicant is Denise Donaldson. This application is being withdrawn by the petitioner. Item A2, variance application 20-0352. The applicant is Michael Simaluka and Cynthia Fernandez. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A3, variance application 20-0398. The applicant is Eloy Martinez. This application is being continued by staff to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A4, variance application 20-0496. The applicant is Abby Feely. This application is being continued by staff to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A5, variance application 20-0667. The applicant is Critter Adoption and Rescue Effort Incorporated. The applicant is requesting this case be continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A6, variance 20-0869. The applicant is Genti Tarahi. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A7, variance application 20-1088. The applicant is Francisco J. Otero Casio. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A8, variance application 20-1095. Applicant is Frank Carpio Quintana. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A9, variance application 20-1108. The applicant is Habitat for Humanity of Hillsborough County. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A10, variance application 20-1113. Applicant is Robert Bess. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Item A11, variance application 20-1125. Applicant is Jason Jennifer Waz. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. Application A12, variance application 20-1129. The applicant is Karen Wagner. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the November 16th, 2020 Land Use Hearing Officer meeting. And that concludes withdrawals and continuances.
Thank you, Mr. Hisney. All right, before we get started, I'm going to go over some procedures that will follow today. First of all, if you have any cell phone or other devices that make noise, please silence those. The agenda today consists of items that require a public hearing by a hearing master. I will conduct a hearing on each item today, and then we'll submit or render a decision within 15 working days after the conclusion of today's public hearing. The fee waiver that is on the agenda today, I will render a decision within 5 working days of the hearing. My decision will be filed with the clerk of the board. The hearings today will be informal. I will ask questions related to the scope of the direct testimony and may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate. I will decide all questions of procedure. I will take evidence today, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony shall be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding of fact unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil action. The order of presentation today will be, first of all, for variances and the fee waiver item. Mr. Hisney will call the case, and then the county's Development Services Department will have 5 minutes to present its report and findings. The applicant and the applicant's witnesses will have 15 minutes to present the proposal. Proponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments in support of the proposal. Opponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments against the proposal. And the county staff will have 5 minutes to present any amended findings or comments. The applicant will then have 5 minutes for rebuttal and summation. We don't have any special uses on the agenda today, so I won't cover that. The 15 minutes for proponents and opponents is the total time allotted among them. So if there are a number of persons who wish to speak, the 15 minutes will be distributed among those who wish to speak. When you come to the microphone to speak, please first state your name and address for the record. The meeting is being recorded. Please speak into the microphone so your testimony can be recorded. And when you're finished speaking, please see the clerk here to my right to sign in for the record. Now we'll hear from Assistant County Attorney Cameron Clark, who will state the legal requirements for the procedures today. Cameron Clark.
Good morning, Cameron Clark, an Assistant County Attorney. This land use hearing officer public hearing is for variance requests. This is the time for interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Once the hearing officer has closed a case, the record of that case is also closed, and no new evidence regarding that case may be submitted thereafter. Any decision by the hearing officer may be appealed to the Land Use Appeals Board. Should a decision of the hearing officer be appealed, the evidence and testimony presented at this public hearing shall be the only evidence that is subject to review by the Appeals Board. In reaching a final decision on petitions, the Appeals Board will only consider the decision of the hearing officer and the record that is made at this public hearing. If an appeal is filed, the Appeals Board hearing shall consist of oral argument by the party appealing the decision, by county staff, and by any interveners, each of whom may be represented by legal counsel. The following shall have standing to appeal a decision of the hearing officer or to intervene in an appeal. First is the applicant. Second is anyone who appeared before the hearing officer, presented testimony or other evidence, and is adversely affected by the decision of the hearing officer. It is the role of the County Attorney's Office to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is allowed before the Appeals Board that was not presented to the hearing officer at today's hearing. The County Attorney will recommend that the Appeals Board disregard evidence or testimony that is outside the record made at today's public hearing. Any evidence presented to the Appeals Board that is outside the record created at the hearing could jeopardize the legality of the Appeals Board decision, and the presenter of that evidence could hurt their own cause. The safest course of action then is to write down any comments that you make today and to repeat those comments to the Appeals Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. All right, all testimony today must be under oath. So if you plan to speak, please stand and raise your right hand if you're able, and I'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Hisney, would you please call the first case?
Sure. We have no vested rights applications. We have no, but we do, which then takes us to section C of the agenda, which is fee waiver request. And we have one item on that. That is item C1, fee waiver application 20-1051. The applicant is Elizabeth Graham, and she is requesting a fee waiver exception. Staff findings will be presented by myself. Pursuant to section 9.7.d of the Development Review Procedures Manual, the applicant requests consideration of an exception by the land use hearing officer for a fee waiver application that cannot be approved by the administrator. The LUHO shall conduct an independent review of the request based on the fee waiver criteria found in the DRPM and the testimony at today's hearing. In granting an exception, the LUHO shall be required to find extraordinary financial circumstances, emergency, catastrophe, or staff error, which are outside of the scope of the administrator's authority to consider. So in this case, the applicant had requested a fee waiver for property at 5302 Puritan Road. The property is vacant and is not the homesteaded property of the applicant. The nature of the request sort of evolved during the review as to what the waiver was going to be for, but it was amended to say that the purpose of the fee waiver was to seek a rezoning of the property, which has a residential zoning district, in order to establish a small farm and specialty grove for the sale of products to local restaurants and markets. Staff reviewed her request, and again, against the criteria found in the DRPM, and found that we could not approve it for two reasons. One, the DRPM prohibits fee waivers sought in connection with commercial businesses and for-profit enterprises. And then additionally, the household income of the applicant exceeds the maximum level as allowed for approval of a fee waiver by staff. And on that point, allow me to state that when it comes to a staff review, our review was limited to the income of the applicant relative to the established threshold for a fee waiver. We cannot take into account debt load and things like that. Again, the DRPM does provide for applicants to seek an exception from the land use hearing officer, and that brings us to this hearing today.
Thank you. All right, so that takes us to the applicant. Is the applicant here? Please come forward and speak into the microphone. State your name and your address first, please.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Graham, and I live at 5002 Puritan Road, Tampa, Florida, 33617.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Initially, what I had requested was to have a variance for a fence. There are multiple trees on this property, and in order for me to have a 6-foot fence, I had to have a 25-foot setback, which I would either have to go beyond that or in front of it to clear the trees. I felt as if it was allowable because it is in compliant with the other fences that are in the neighborhood. And I didn't even need the full 25 feet. I just wanted a 12 feet. I didn't know how to go about this. So I called downtown and I was told that there was applications, and I am. There is no house on this property. It is vacant land. I did put a lot of trees on the property, which would not interfere with the fence anyway. As far as the financial, I don't know how, I was not even working at the time. My business was shut down by the government for months. And even though we are back working, we are not even making near the amount of money that we were making. So I sent my husband's pay stubs, which I don't understand why he was only making like between $75 to $80. I don't even had a job. And anyhow, so I feel as if I was kind of misguided because I sent all this information in and I spoke to multiple people, Dennis Klein, Thomas, multiple people. And before I even applied for the application, nobody even told me that, hey, Elizabeth, this isn't going to work. They've seen, I sent in, I dropped off and I emailed in all this information. Not one given time, they're like, Elizabeth, this doesn't meet your recommendation. So I'm not sure what happened, and maybe I did get a little ambitious by what I was told by Dennis that, hey, Elizabeth, if you formed an agricultural on this property, you wouldn't need a variance because as an ag, you can go up to your property line with the 6-foot fence. So I was just collecting this information, and then the bottom line is all I wanted to do is to get a variance for to reduce my fence to 12 feet.
So the purpose, my understanding is then that the purpose of you entering this whole process was, your goal was to put in a fence.
Yes, and that's what I initially applied for.
Okay, thank you. And you wanted a fence of a certain height and it didn't, where you wanted to put it didn't meet the setback, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so in the application for the fee waiver, it states the purpose of the fee waiver was to waive the fee for a rezoning. Is that not correct?
No, it was, the fee waiver was for the fence.
Okay. Okay, so you're seeking a fee waiver then for a fence variance?
Yes.
Okay. And what evidence can you present to me today to support your fee waiver request?
Other than all the information you already have?
Okay, and the information that you submitted consisted of, you mentioned your husband's pay stubs.
Correct. My bank statements. And that's all. I mean, I wasn't working.
Ms. Graham, did you have tax returns to submit?
I did for the following year, yes.
You did submit those?
Yes, those were different than where I am now, though.
What years were those for?
2018.
So you submitted 2018
Yes.
tax return. Do you have your 2019 tax returns?
I do not. I'm sorry, I did not. I didn't bring them.
Do you have them now?
I do have them. I feel as if where all of our lives were last year doesn't reflect on where we are today. I spent my entire savings developing this, clearing this piece of property. It was a foreclosure. Okay, it's huge. It's, I don't know, 5 or 6 acres. I cleared it. It was a nuisance. I had to demo the buildings. I worked with code enforcement for months. And people still come on the property. That's why I want to put up a fence.
All right, in the file, in the application file, it says that the purpose of your seeking a fee waiver, and it does mention a rezoning, was for a gardening business or an agriculture business?
Yes, it was. And I'm sorry, you know what? I got that information when I spoke to Dennis and he was saying, Elizabeth, I did plant a lot of fruit trees on the property. I mean, I was told if I did agriculture that I wouldn't even need a variance. So I got confused to what to ask for, the fence or the agriculture. Only thing I ever really wanted was a fence. Because if I went for the agriculture, I could do 6 foot at a 0 lot line.
Okay, so are you telling me this morning then that the reason the application that I'm looking at speaks about an agriculture business and a gardening business was because you thought that was to support putting the fence where you wanted it? Is that?
No, then I wouldn't have even needed a fence. Okay, yes. Then I could do the 6 foot without a variance, yes.
Okay.
Yes. It still would be difficult. I would still need to do it at 12 feet because of all the trees. I kind of drew a diagram. It has to be close to the 12-foot mark.
So please understand this hearing today is not about the fence. It's not about a fence variance. It's
Okay.
about a fee waiver.
Okay, well, I feel as if I spoke to multiple people, okay, and multiple people seeing my application and my financial criteria. And I was never told, before you spend the money for this application, I have filed I have done processes before, and there was a checklist. And in that checklist, I mean, it had everything that was in it. That checklist did not, you know what, this process is difficult. It's not like I could speak to one person and then, I feel as if because of COVID, we can't go downtown. We don't get a straight answer. Everybody that I speak to tells me something different. I felt as if I met the requirements because we weren't working. $2,000 is a lot of money. That would pay for my fence. I don't have it. That's why I requested it.
Okay.
And I paid $165 for that request.
All right. Is there any other additional testimony that you wish to present as to the fee waiver request, to support the fee waiver request?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to hear from any proponents or opponents, and then County Development Services, and you'll have a few minutes for rebuttal after that, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. And please see the clerk.
Sure.
You can see the clerk now, and I'll call you back up in a moment. Thank you, Ms. Graham. All right, are there any proponents in person or online who support this application? All right, don't believe there are. Are there any opponents who wish to speak against this application in person here or online today? All right, don't see any. We'll go to County Development Services. Any amended comments or recommendations?
Yes, with regards to, this did start off as a fee waiver request for a variance, for a height variance for a fence. But as the review evolved, it became clear that the intended use of the property is an agricultural enterprise and the property is zoned residential, which does not permit agricultural uses. And then that apparently is why the applicant chose to amend the application to make it a fee waiver for a rezoning. I'd like to note that if the property is not rezoned, then an agricultural enterprise is not a permitted use on the property. So that's how it moved from a fence variance waiver to a rezoning fee waiver. And then secondly, with regards to income, I just point out that in the record, in their statement of expenses, and it was very thorough, and they do note, it says monthly personal and rental income is $7,777 a month, which is approximately, $93,000, and therefore well above the threshold of income that can be considered by staff, as again, we are not authorized to take into account debt load.
Mr. Hisney, a question for you, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Graham testified that she had submitted some documents into the record. I haven't seen those. Are those documents that are available for me to review?
They should be, as far as I know. If this case planner, Kevin DeFrank, is available virtually, but they should be available to you in the optics file.
Okay, I will make sure I get those. Is that all from Development Services?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Graham? Did you have any further comments or rebuttal for what was just stated?
Well, I guess the only thing I could just do is reiterate. Initially, all I wanted to do is get a fence variance. After speaking to people in downtown or in zoning, I found out if if I did agriculture, I was told if I did agriculture that I wouldn't even need a variance. My intentions were based upon, I'm not going to do a farm. I'm not building a farm. I submitted my page stubs. The $7,000 was years ago. And I don't know where he came up with that number. I'm sorry, I don't know how he got that number.
Ms. Graham, might it have been part of your tax returns?
Okay, it might have been.
Okay, so
It might have been. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that that's not what we are making today.
do you still have rental income today?
I do.
How much is that?
Maybe $2,200.
Per month?
Yes.
Did you submit anything to support that?
No. I did write at that time, I sent an email. We own a restaurant property and a bar. The bar is completely shut down. It is vacant. The restaurant is vacant too. I have 2 buildings that are vacant.
Okay,
I can take pictures. I can submit evidence.
but it's your,
I didn't realize what I needed today.
okay. But it's your testimony today that it's not your intention to do agriculture on this property?
Correct.
Okay. All right, anything else you have?
Nope.
All right, Ms. Graham, thank you very much. That closes the hearing then for item 20-1051. Mr. Hisney, would you please introduce the next?
Yes, ma'am. We have no reconsideration requests and no site development and variance requests. That takes us to section F of the agenda, which is signed variances. Item F1 is application 20-1096. The applicant is Tiki Docks, Tampa, requesting a sign variance. Staff findings will be presented virtually by Kim King.
Good morning, Kim King, Development Services. I'd like to see if my applicant is available because we were having issues this morning with them getting signed on virtually.
Kim, it sounds like something's rubbing up against your microphone.
Sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to repeat that?
Yes, could you repeat that?
I wanted to check to see if the applicant was here virtually because we were having issues this morning.
Yes, this is Sharon Forey, the applicant for Tiki Docks.
Okay, Sharon. Let me go ahead and read the report into the record, and then you'll have your time to present your application.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. The applicant is requesting a setback variance for a proposed ground sign for the Tiki Docks located at 10708 Palmetto Street. Per section 7.03.00.C.1.B of the Land Development Code requires a ground sign to have a 10-foot setback from the right-of-way line. The applicant is requesting a variance of 10 feet, which would place the ground sign at a 0 setback from the US Highway 301 right-of-way line. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. King. All right, can we hear from the applicant, please?
Good morning. My name's Sharon Forey. I'm with Jones. I have been sworn in. I took the oath when you first came online.
And could you enable your camera, please?
I thought I already had. I apologize. Oh, here we go. Can you see me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Joining me is a coworker, Malcolm Whitley, by telephone. He also works for Jones Sign and is working with Tiki Docs. Our application is for a 0 setback for the ground sign that Tiki Docs wishes to have the property. We're requesting this because of the property itself. It has, if you have seen the new Tiki Dock restaurant that's now at the property, it sits right along the river. So portions of it are part of a wetland area, which has limited us to the viable land position that we can use for the position of the building, the parking lot, and the ground sign. If we follow the set code of the 10-foot setback, that means the ground sign would end up being in the parking lot, which then becomes a problem for customers. The fear of somebody hitting it and it damaging vehicles, falling on top of somebody. What we feel the best solution is if we can have a 0 setback, then it's out of harm's way to the patrons. It's not in anywhere near the wetlands. It's visible to the highway, yet we still follow the Florida Department has, there's approximately a 40 to 46 foot right of way along that section of the road. And then the property line starts. So the sign is still nowhere near the highway. It's behind the Florida Department's right of way. We're just asking to be closer to the property line setback and not the standard 10 foot.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking at the site plan. Can you describe for me, please, where the proposed sign is? Because the site plan is very busy. I don't see exactly where it is. I see Palmetto Street. I see Highway 301. Where in proximity to those roads is the proposed sign?
If you can see where the corner meets where Highway 301 and Palmetto Street come together, if you come up on that drawing approximately maybe 1.5 inches, you should see a round dot that is circled by a red circle. I'm not sure if you can pick up on that on your drawing.
All right, and my drawing is in black and white.
Oh, it should be, oh, I don't know if I can share a screen with you. Let me see if I can share this.
From the corner, or from the intersection of Highway 301 and Palmetto Street, it's near that intersection.
If you go north from that intersection, going straight up the page, there's a round circle that has a P1 and a small rectangular square and some dimension marks showing the setback from the main street that indicates the Florida DOT right away and our property line.
Thank you. So that's where the sign is proposed?
That is where we're proposing.
And it's not in the DOT right of way or the future right of way?
No, it's all right behind the property line, which is in no one's right of way. We're just asking, instead of the standard 10-foot setback, can we be at a 0 setback, still behind everybody's right of way?
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else? And to proponents, are there any proponents here in the room or online who would like to speak in support of this variance request? I don't see any. Are there any opponents who wish to speak against this variance request? None online, none in the room. Okay. All right, then back to Development Services, please.
Yes. I don't have anything further unless you have any questions.
I don't have any questions for you. Applicant, did you have anything else to add? Thank you. Then this closes the hearing for variance 20-1096. Mr. Hisney, would you please introduce the next case?
Yes, ma'am. That concludes section F of the agenda. It takes us then to section G, general variance request. First case is item G1, application 20-0324. The applicant is Raul, German, Rodriguez, and the request is a variance to lot development standards and variance to accessory dwelling requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Laura Marley.
Good morning. The applicant is requesting variances to allow for an existing room addition and attached accessory dwelling for a single family on lot zoned RSC 6. For the existing room addition, a minimum side yard setback of 7.5 feet is required. The applicant requests a 4.9 foot reduction to the required east side yard to allow for a 2.6 foot setback. The building coverage, a maximum building coverage of 40% is required. The applicant requests a 6% increase to allow coverage, building coverage of 46%. Should be noted, the unpermitted accessory dwelling was a former attached garage that was converted without permits. The property owner is required to reside in the principal dwelling on a parcel in order to have an accessory dwelling. The property appraisers didn't have them homesteaded, and the mailing address didn't match, but the owner did submit a driver's license and registration for the subject property. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Come forward, please. And would you please state your name and address, and also have you been sworn this morning?
Yes.
Okay, and your name and address, please.
Junior Rodriguez, address is 108 West 134th Street. This is my father, Raul Herman Rodriguez. He doesn't speak no English. I'm gonna try and explain the best that I can. My English is not the best neither, but what happened, we just purchased that property, and then we got a big family. My father is getting old. My sister wanted to take care of my father, and it was a shed in the back. There was a lot of work done, and I started working in the back trying to fix it, that way everybody be in the house. And then pictures came, and well, now we're here, we're trying to make everything legal and legalized. But whenever we purchased the house, the bathroom, it was already there. And the bathroom is real close to the fence. It's not have the space enough.
Mr. Rodriguez, I'm the hearing officer. I need you to speak to me, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Like I said, we just want to make everything legal and do it the right way. We're just asking you guys, 4 feet, 6 inches. That way we have the space enough, and we can keep going where the paperwork required. That way we can legalize everything.
Mr. Rodriguez, are you one of the owners of the house?
Yes.
When did you purchase the house?
It was 3 years ago.
In 2017?
Yeah, it was around that time. Me and my father, we purchased the house. The house is in my father's name.
Do you live there, Mr. Rodriguez?
I'm not live there. He lived there.
Okay. I believe the application said other family live there?
Yes, my cousins live there too. My sister lived there too.
And so when the house was purchased in 2017,
it was around that time. I don't know exactly the same day, but it was like 3 years.
Please speak into the microphone, Mr. Rodriguez. Thank you.
It was, it was around that time. I don't know the specific day, but it was like 3 years ago.
Okay, and was the condition of the house at the time you purchased it, what existed there then?
Everything, it was there. Like the way that you see right now in the plants, everything, it was there. It was a shed in the back. There was halfway down. There was already trusses and everything. And, I take advantage of that and I start working inside there. That way we can make that bigger space for my sister and his husband and his children.
Let me
This gentleman is not identified as the applicant's representative. So we will need the property owner to authorize him to continue speaking or in his past testimony as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hisney. Mr. Rodriguez, we need you, the property owner, to come forward, please.
Table. Ellos quieren que tú autorices a hablar por ti. Okay? How do you want me to do this? He doesn't speak no English.
Okay, please come forward.
Dame un poquito más adelante.
Okay. All right, su nombre, por favor, su nombre.
Raúl Germán Rodríguez.
Germán Rodriguez?
Yes.
Rodríguez.
Okay. You, sir, are Germán Rodriguez.
Sí.
Okay.
Ya, ya.
All right. Your address.
La dirección de la casa.
Ah, la dirección de la
108.
casa.
Come to the microphone,
108.
please.
West
West
131.
131
ST. Street.
ST.
Mira la cámara, güey. Tienes que mirarla ahí.
If you can please say your address slowly, even if it's in Spanish.
108 en español. 108.
108
West
West Street.
131
131
ST.
ST.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, would you tell me what he said, the address he said, please, in English and speak into the microphone?
108 West 108 Street, Tampa, Florida 33612.
All right. Then, Mr. Herman, I need for him to answer this question. And you can translate, please.
I do my best.
Okay. All right, sir. Do you authorize Junior Rodriguez to represent you here today?
Dice que si tú me autorizas a
Yes,
yo hablar
yes.
por ti.
Yes.
Okay, you do. Mr. Hisney, is that sufficient for the record?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Ya, Pepe, ya te concedo.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez, thank you.
No problem.
In the application record, it appears that there's a garage behind the house. Is that the shed you're speaking of?
Yes.
Okay. Then after when you purchased the house, that garage existed.
Yes.
Then did you make improvements to that garage?
No.
What did you do to that garage? You said you were working
Yes,
on it. What did you do?
It was already the framing done. You know, the improvement that I did, I just finished and I convert that in 2 bedrooms, 1 bed. I just put the chill up, you know what I mean? The electrics, there was already electric there. The plumbing, it was plumbing already there.
All right, but you converted the garage into a bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also add the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe there's a walk-in closet?
Yes.
Okay, and so you added those?
No, the walk-in closet and the bathroom, it was in front of the house. That was already existing there.
So when you purchased the house, is it your testimony that there was already a walk-in closet and a bathroom added to it,
Yes.
and those were unpermitted?
There was no permit at all.
Right, but the garage, which was already there, you improved it and made it a bedroom?
That's what I did.
All right, let me clarify, 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms?
Two is 2 bedroom, 1 bed in the back.
And you added those?
I added those.
Okay. Who did you purchase the property from?
Pursued, it was a lady, I think it was Rafael. Let me see if I forget his son's name, Rafael something. I don't know the name. I probably can find it.
Did you know the people you purchased the house from?
Yes. I don't know him like forever. I know him from making a deal. She put a for sale sign outside and we just purchased the house. But I know the people. I know where they're still living.
All right, is there anything else you wish to add at this time?
I just want to add, I just want to do the best and do it the right way. If you guys can let me that little space, that way I can move forward and finish my projects, I would appreciate that.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll ask you to come back up in just a moment and Ms. Rodriguez, would you please, before you sit down, see the clerk here, and we need you to register with the clerk and your father too. Thank you. All right, we'll ask for any proponents. Are there any proponents here or online who wish to speak to this variance request? None? Are there any opponents here or online who wish to speak to this variance request? All right, there are none. All right, back to County Development Services, please.
Staff has no additional comments. Thank you.
Laura, do you have any other questions or comments?
I'm sorry, did you hear me? I said I have no additional comments. Thank you.
I would actually want some clarification from the applicant on the representative, so if he turns to the podium.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, could you come back to the podium, please? Mr. Hisney from Development Services has some clarification.
Yeah, hi. So in your comment, you're talking about installing a bathroom, but the floor plan that's submitted with this application also shows that the converted garage also includes a kitchen. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was, I put a kitchen there. It's going to be removed. It's not going to be no kitchen there.
Well, no, just the opposite. If you want this to serve as an accessory dwelling, it must have a kitchen. So
Yeah, I don't think a kitchen can be allowed in that case.
No, sir, just the opposite. If it's going to be an accessory dwelling, it must have a bathroom and a kitchen. So you're confirming that the kitchen exists.
No, the kitchen, I built the kitchen.
It is there, you're saying?
It's there, the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen is there.
Remove it.
Right.
I would like to keep the kitchen.
No, it is, here's the difference is that if you were to remove the kitchen, then you would have to have direct internal access from the house into the garage.
Yes.
And then in which case it's simply a bedroom addition or an enlargement of the house. However, if you want it to be an accessory dwelling, which is what the application talked about.
It would be nice.
Right, then then it must have the kitchen.
It would be nice.
Okay, then all right, so good. The kitchen is there.
Yes.
You're gonna keep it great. So it is indeed an accessory dwelling. And then you stated that you and your father own the property together. However, the deed only lists one owner.
Yeah, it's my father, bro.
All right, so Raul Herman Rodriguez is your father.
That's my father.
Right, and your father lives on the property.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, that's it. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Hisney. Mr. Rodriguez? How does one access that accessory dwelling? Is there, do you go through the main house, or is there a door just to that dwelling?
No, it's just the main house have a lot of space on the side. It's plenty of space. It's probably like 30 feet wide. And there's a door that goes in the second house in the backyard.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is there access to it through the main house as well?
It's not access to the main house.
Okay. All right, that's all my questions.
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Rodriguez. Thank you. All right, so that will close the hearing on variance 20-0324.
All right, our next case is item G2, application 20-0372. The applicants are Martinez Yane and Mujica Elizabeth Maria, and they are requesting a variance to lot development standards and a variance to fence requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Laura Marley.
Good morning. The applicant is requesting variances for a height increase for an existing fence and a reduction in the required front setback for a proposed attached garage on a corner lot zoned RSC 6. The existing fence is, and fences over 4 feet in height shall not be allowed within required front yards in residential districts. The subject property is on the corner and is requesting a 1 foot increase to allow a 5 foot height for the existing fence on the 2 required front yards. But in the southernmost 80 feet of the east front yard that functions as a side road along Kingsway Road, a 2 foot increase in the permitted fence height is required to allow a 6 foot height for the existing fence. So a portion of it is 5 feet, a portion of it is 6 feet. For the proposed garage, a minimum front yard of 25 feet is required. The applicant requests a 7 foot reduction to the required front yard to allow for an 18 foot setback to the east front yard. And just so I noted, the survey shows a portion of the existing fence on the north and east side of the subject property that's outside the property lot lines. The property owner has been advised the fence should be relocated to inside the property line, and if this variance is approved, it does not vest or grant the location of the fence as it exists currently. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here?
Is there Jackie Gonzalez?
All right, thank you. We need to be able to see you too, I believe.
I'm here.
Please stand by.
Can you see me?
Please stand by. Okay, you're good.
Yes, sir, we can see you. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Jackie Gonzalez. I'm representing the owner of this property. As it was mentioned before, my Miss Laura Mali. We initially request a variance to the lot development. We're trying to build, the owner is trying to build a garage on the property. The property didn't have a garage. It doesn't have a garage at the time they bought it. After the review by the staff, they realized that the fence is not in compliance, as I explained it before. At the time the owner bought the property about, I would say 10 years ago, even before, and I provide pictures of it. The fence has been in place since 2011 when they bought it, and way before that. I think the pictures I provided from 2008, satellite Google. So that is clearing for they just upgrade the fence. I believe in 2013, they replaced the current fence and they put a newer fence. They just asking a setback of 7 feet, if I'm not mistaken, to have a 2-car garage built in front of the house to the left side of the house.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gonzalez, can you explain how this request is a hardship? How does it meet the hardship criteria?
Okay, allowing them to have a garage, a 2-car garage, will actually allow to the owners to have to protect the cars, the ownership. And they're gonna be able to probably have a longer life to the cars because they expose outside. Also, it will improve the house. It will improve their life. And it's just they just want to build a car garage.
Okay. All right. Any other evidence or any other comments you have then?
We submit a site plan. We show what we want to build or what the owner wants to build. I believe that's really clear. We show a survey. We have given evidence. I just want to take in consideration, due to this being a corner lot, that's why the setbacks for the front is 25 and for the rear is also 25. And just take in consideration, in a normal lot, this would have been have to go into a variance. I just want to take take in consideration, which is building a garage for their cars. You know, they've been living in the property for about 9 years. It's gonna be 10 years in next January. He's an excellent neighbor. He hasn't never problem. Actually, I personally went to the neighborhood and spoke verbally with them, and they okay with it. With a few of the neighbors, not all of them.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else?
No.
We'll go to proponents. Are there any proponents here or online who wish to speak in support of this variance request? All right, don't see any. Are there any opponents who wish to speak against this variance request? None online, none in the room. Okay. Go to development services, please.
Nothing further.
Okay. All right, applicant, you've still got 5 minutes for rebuttal. Do you have any further comments?
I honestly don't have anything. I just want to say to take in consideration that the fence is been there for more than 10 years. I would say 12 years. The record, I believe, Ms. Lara, I don't know if I'm mistaken. I send you the pictures. I don't know if you have in your records. That fence has just been there for more than 12 years. I sent an email with the explanation and pictures of it. And the other thing is for the garage. Please allow them to have a nice garage to protect their property, and that would be really appreciated for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that closes the hearing then for variance 20-0372. And we'll go to the next item.
Our final case today is item G3, application 20-0400. The applicant is Yamo Ruiz Velza. The requests are three variances, one the lot development standards, one the defense requirements, and another for accessory structure requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Tanya Chapella.
Good morning, Tanya Chapella, Development Services. The applicant is requesting several variances for an existing room addition, a shed, and a fence on a PD zoned property with RSC 9 standards. The rear setback for the property is 20 feet, and the minimum side setback is 5 feet. The applicant is requesting two variances for the room addition: a 15.6-foot reduction to the required rear yard to allow a setback of 4.4 feet, and a 1.7-foot reduction to the required side yard to allow a setback of 3.3 feet from the west property line. Accessory structures 15 feet or less in height may occupy required rear yards, provided that such structures are not closer than 3 feet to any rear lot line. The applicant requests two more variances for the shed: a 2.3-foot reduction to the north setback to allow a setback of 0.7 feet, and a 1.3-foot reduction to the required east setback to allow a 1.7-foot setback. Finally, the applicant is requesting two more variances for a fence. Per the Land Development Code, Section 60702, a maximum height of 4 feet is permitted for fences located in the required front yards. As shown on the site plan, the fence is placed 10 feet from the front property line. The applicant requests a 2-foot height increase for an existing fence within the required front yard to allow a 6-foot height fence. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, applicant.
Morning.
Good morning. Please speak into the microphone, and we need you to put
Okay.
your name and address in the
Yes.
record.
My name is Luis Alonso. The address is 5834 Morlock, Tampa, Florida 33615. I representing the owner of the property. His name is Jamil Rodriguez Ruiz. If you want to speak with him, because he didn't speak English.
Okay, you're listed as the applicant's representative in the record, right?
Yes.
And so both of you are welcome to speak. We just need to hear your support for the variance. So speak to the hardship requirement, the hardship criteria for the variance,
Yes.
please.
The request in this variance is the reduction, the setback, because he made an addition to rear of the existing house. The existing house is in APD, where the setback is 20 feet. That is the only space that he has at rear. And he needs this addition for a bedroom and a bathroom because he lives in the house with his wife, 2 daughters, and his mother-in-law that is take care from his daughters. And additional 2 dogs in the house. He didn't have a space in the house for a bedroom for his mother-in-law. That is that necessary for him to making this addition for the bedroom and the bathroom. Additional to this request that we are getting get the required permit in the building department, when we're sitting with the planner, he saw that there are a check in one corner and the check requests the space that 3 feet, but at this moment, the check is 0.5 from rear and 1.8 to the side. That is the other request for the variance because the check is the only space that he has for take all the grammar and all the landscaping articles from the house because he didn't have other space. Additional other request is the fence at the front of the property. In front of the property, in the survey appear a utility easement, but he is asking for a fence pass to the utility easement in the line of the border of the utility easement. He needs this fence a little more higher because the dogs and his daughter take care at front of the house. That is the only space that he has because the other backyard that he has is too small in the area. He don't have any problem with the neighbors because around the property existing a 10 feet higher fence around of the property from where begin the house to all the backyard. And he spoke with the neighbor and he said that there are no any problem with them for this construction. He began the construction. He has the bathroom foundation and everything. Everything is in compliance with the floor zone elevation because the finished floor elevation is according to the requirement from flood zone.
Okay. Just 1 second. So the property was purchased what year?
He purchased the property in 2000. ¿En qué año compraste la propiedad? 2017.
Okay. And the request is to build a new addition, to build the addition, right?
Yes, he began the addition.
He began the addition.
He began the addition. He has all the foundation, all the concrete slab, all the plumbing. But when he coming to me was because a friend said that he needs permit for that. He didn't know, and when I went, I explained, no, but you are in the setback. You need first the variance for continuing this construction that is very necessary for him.
Okay. And the fence was existing, was it?
No, it's not existing. This is something that he wants to make in the future for his daughter and the dog to play at front of the property. But that is the request that we need columns and iron fence, that it will be open fence. It's not enclosed at the front. It's for more decoration than any enclosed.
All right. And you said something about a utility easement. Explain that again, please.
Excuse me?
You said something about a utility easement.
Yes, because at front of the property, if you see the survey, there are in utility easement. The fence that we are requesting is past the line of the utility easement. It's not over the utility easement. The utility easement continue open to access from the public, and after that will be the fence. That reduce a little the front setback that he will be, but this is for protecting the family.
And what, again, the hardship criteria for bringing the fence out, for reducing that setback, what is the hardship criteria for that, or what's the hardship for that?
The criteria is that he has his two daughters that are little girls and the two dogs, and that is the space, when green space for playing with the dogs up front. When you pass this, there are a dish in the up front, that this is a little risk for the daughters. There are a dish, that is the street, a deed to entry to the property, and that is that he wants to put in the fence.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No?
Okay. Ask him please to come forward into the microphone and state his name and address. State your name and address in the microphone, please.
Yeah.
My name, Yamel Ruiz Bielsa. Address, 5834 Moore Loop, Tampa, Florida, 33615.
Thank you very much. And please see the clerk here and sign in.
Any questions?
I'm going to call you back up for rebuttal if you have anything else to add, but I don't have any more questions at this time. Thank
To
you.
everyone, and thank you so much to Carmen that helped me with this variance a lot of time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Are there any proponents here in the audience today or online who wish to speak to this item? All right. Any opponents in the audience today or online who wish to speak to this item? All right. Seeing none, then we'll go to County Development Services for any additional comments.
Tanya, anything further?
No, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
The applicant has 5 minutes for rebuttal or any other comments that you need to make. I don't have any questions for you, but did you have anything else you wish to add? No. All right. Thank you. All right. So that will close the hearing for item variance 20-0400. And that's our last item today. So the land use hearing officer meeting is adjourned. Thank you.